Ladies and gentlemen, this is a kind request to be seated as we are going to be starting the event in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I warmly welcome you all to the third pre-conference workshop organized by the International Conference on Business Management, Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, University of Sri Jawadanapura. Before commencing the event, in one voice, let us pay a moment of gratitude to our university. Please rise for the university anthem.
Sri Lanka Pinwara Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Hikkaduwe Siri Sumagul Samidun Velivitiye Sorat Bandu Yatidun Higikala Vidyodaya Vidu Bimadun Eliyen Divi Magasara Sau Sri Lanka Pinwara Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Ayuktiyedi Vivadashili Asatyayedi Vicharashili Viyat Sabha Med Samajashili Viyatun Nidaya Pobayau Sri Lanka Pinwara Randirani Srinivasa Maha Aganagare Sri Jayavardhana Pura Sarasavi Sri Namaya Randhavam Lomudune Vidya Uppatatan Setta Vidya Uppatatan Setta
the 21st International Conference on Business Management. This year will be held on the theme of Tech Titans and Turmoil, leveraging disruptive technologies for sustainable business transformation. The ICBM, held annually, is an important event in the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce. This year's conference is organized in association with the Postgraduate Institute of Management of the university as well. And when we talk about the first day of the conference, today we've already had a very exciting day. We have 3 exciting pre-conference workshops, and we have already conducted 2 of them. If I give a very brief summary, we have already conducted the first pre-conference workshop, Reading Strategies for Social Science Researchers in a Technology-Enabled Society by Professor Robin Myers. And the second pre-conference workshop, Navigating the Future, Innovative Research Trends in Management Amidst Disruptive Technologies by Ms. Sangeeta Menon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are joining with the third pre-conference workshop, Teaching Tomorrow's Titans, Preparing Future Leaders to Harness Disruptive Technologies Sustainably, that will be conducted by none other than Mr. Peter de Almeida. So, to commence officially this event, I now cordially invite Dr. Nilangi Nanayakara, co-chair of the ICBM 2025, to welcome the participants for today's workshop.
Good evening, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, and respected members of the academic community. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the third pre-conference workshop of ICBM 2025 Research Week, an essential platform where we engage in forward-thinking discussion that shape the future of business and management education. Today, we explore the theme, Teaching Tomorrow's Titans, Preparing Future Leaders to Harness Disruptive Technologies Sustainably. As technology continues to reshape industries and economies, the role of academia in equipping future leaders with the skills, adaptability, and ethical grounding to navigate this evolving landscape has never been more critical. To guide this conversation, we are honored to have with us Mr. Peter de Almeida, a renowned tech entrepreneur whose expertise in technology, business transformation, and innovation will offer invaluable insights into how we can mold the next generation of leaders for a world driven by tomorrow's tech-run world. A special welcome goes to our Dean of the Faculty of Management Studies and Director, Postgraduate Institute of Management, senior professors, academic staff from both our university and PIM who are here with us today. Your presence today reflects a strong commitment of our institutions to fostering a dialogue on emerging challenges and opportunities in business education. We are also pleased to host this discussion at the Port City Colombo, a space that represents Sri Lanka's ambition to integrate with the global economy and become a hub for innovation and investment. We warmly welcome Mr. Shalaka Wijeratna and the Port City Colombo team, whose support has made this collaboration possible. As we begin this session, I encourage you all to engage actively, exchange ideas, and contribute to this discussion. I look forward to an enriching and thought-provoking session. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Port City Colombo joins hands with the ICBM 2025 in organizing the third pre-conference workshop. And with that, let me direct your attention to a brief video that encapsulates the Port City Colombo.
Sri Lanka, a canvas of contrast, where ancient whispers converge with the visions of tomorrow. Sri Lanka's strategic location fortifies its legacy as a pivotal hub of connectivity, with the bustling port of Colombo ranked first in South Asia, serving as a testament to a nation's logistical prowess. This provides preferential market access from Europe to Asia, cementing Sri Lanka's role as a key player in global commerce. Colombo's skyline, bridging eras, ushers in an age of innovation, symbolizing a transition to a dynamic future. Introducing Port City Colombo, a world-class master plan city development built as an international multi-services special economic zone, financial center and business hub. Port City Colombo, a financially ring-fenced city, is the center of commerce and innovation, where the Colombo Port City Economic Commission serves as a single window investment facilitator, streamlining investment processes. An international regulatory framework ensures compliance with the highest global standards, offering the freedom to transact without foreign exchange controls, minimizing risk and hedging costs. The city includes a robust investment protection, fostering confidence. Green Channel visas valid for up to 10 years for investors, their spouses and children facilitate easy entry, fostering a diverse and innovative community. Port City Colombo is ready for vertical development with its complete infrastructure, including strategically placed substations and a comprehensive utility network, ensuring reliable power and essential services across the entire city. Its groundwork supports residential and commercial projects, offering a solid base for high-rise and mixed-use buildings and complexes. Efficient administrative services and an international commercial dispute resolution center ensure swift, fair business resolutions. Employees in Port City Colombo benefit from 0% personal income tax and remuneration in foreign currency. Businesses of strategic importance enjoy over 25 years of tax holidays, no corporate income tax, sales tax, or border tariffs, promoting growth within a comprehensive business ecosystem. Port City Colombo redefines urban living with its master planned cityscape designed for comfort and luxury. Exclusive villas, a yacht marina, the Colombo International Financial Center, an integrated resort and a convention and exhibition center, and a pioneering duty-free retail offering complement luxurious apartments and green spaces, offering a blend of sophistication and peaceful tranquility. The city includes top-tier education and healthcare alongside the entertainment. ESG principles are central to this special economic zone, ensuring a legacy of environmental and social responsibility. Port City Colombo is sculpting a landmark of regional significance and global appeal. It's where ambition and opportunity converge to forge a realm of infinite economic potential, heralding a new era with a singular vision. Invest in Port City Colombo.
With that, I invite Mr. Shalaka Vijayaratna, Executive Director, Investment Promotion and Marketing of Port City Colombo Private Limited, to provide a briefing of this magnificent venue that we are today.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I hope the video gave you a brief on what we're trying to do at Port City. I first of all would like to thank the senior faculty at Sri Jalandharapura University and as well as PIM, and also thank Dr. Nilangi for coordinating very closely with us. We hope this collaboration will continue into the future as you all mold the young minds and the future generation of Sri Lanka. So I'm just going to take you through a very quick slide deck. If there are any questions that you would like to ask, please feel free to stop me or actually keep them for the end of the presentation. More than happy to answer. So a new dawn for Sri Lanka. So this is what we're trying to do at Port City, is definitely looking into the future and getting Sri Lanka future ready. Right, so in terms of Sri Lanka's strategic location, this is something that we're all well versed with. Sri Lanka is located in one of the most strategic shipping routes and also within like a 5-hour flight radius of major Asian and even Middle Eastern hubs. So we are well positioned actually to kind of see this growth and kind of facilitate the growth of the global south. This is something that is happening internationally and globally, where we are seeing a very apparent migration of capital from the east and the west towards the global south area of the world. And moving on to Port City, so this is actually a drone shot that was taken a while back. There has been a lot more development happening at Port City, which I will show you in a few pictures subsequent to this. To give you a few snapshots on what Port City is, it is a 269 hectare reclaimed land development. We have a 1.7 kilometer long beach, the first of its kind, I mean, in Sri Lanka, obviously in Colombo. Seldom you find a beach 5 minutes from a commercial capital in the world. Also seldom you find a beach resort. One of our land parcels also has a beach resort provision. So these are interesting things. And also we have a 3.2 kilometer long breakwater, and this breakwater can withstand waves of up to 7 meters in height. So what it has done is it has actually created a very calm and tranquil lagoon behind it, which is a swimmable lagoon of about 101 hectares. Port City is also divided into 5 distinct precincts. I will touch on that a bit later. And also the city, once operational, we will see about 273,000 people at Port City, out of which about 85,000 will be residential. Sorry, just bear with me. Right, so some key facts. I'll take you through each one as we start from the left tile. Port City is actually Sri Lanka's, one of Sri Lanka's largest FDI projects and one of the most significant PPP projects to date. It is also Sri Lanka's first multi-services dedicated special economic zone. So Sri Lanka has a history of other free trade zones before. We have 15 other free trade zones, but mostly dedicated towards light manufacturing and industry. This project doesn't have a direct monetary investment from the government of Sri Lanka. $1.4 billion was committed by the primary developer, which is China Harbour Engineering Company, and which is the infrastructure you see that is completed. So the road you came in, the landscaping you saw, the buildings that have come up are all part of this investment that has been put in as a pure FDI into Sri Lanka. And also to kind of clarify this portion of it, some people may know, some people may not know, but as per the PPP arrangement, for the $1.4 billion that China Harbour has invested, what has been given to the primary developer is a leasehold right for about 43% of the land area. So this leasehold right in no way is any ownership of the land. The government of Sri Lanka or the Colombo Port City Economic Commission owns 100% of the land, the title. So for example, if an investor comes in, the investor signs directly a 99-year lease with the government of Sri Lanka. We only have a leasehold right for the return on our investment. So if it's one of those land parcels that you happen to come and invest or want to take on a 99-year lease, and those happen to be one of those allocated to the primary developer, you pay us the leasehold consideration, but you sign your lease agreement with the government of Sri Lanka. Just want to make that clear so that there is no ownership involved in the terms of the primary developer. Also in 2020, Port City was bought under the Colombo Divisional Secretariat. Little things that might seem silly, but there is no visa required for Port City. These are things that were spoken about in the past. Just to kind of clear this out, you can freely enter Port City. The only areas that sometimes are demarcated or kind of left out is because it's an active construction site. So it's purely for the safety of the public. Since we opened Port City's public areas, which is the promenade, the marina area, the beach, we've seen about 2 million visitors since that date, since 2020 actually. And what we're trying to do is develop a master planned and livable city with world-class infrastructure for Sri Lanka so that we can compete regionally and even globally. Right, so what's our vision? What are we trying to do with Port City? So with Port City, what we're trying to do is create this Port City we have identified as an engine for Sri Lanka's economic growth. We need to create a vibrant financial center in South Asia. We kind of know also that India's growth story in the next 50 years is going to be something phenomenal. Their GDP, their economy is expected to grow to about $53 trillion by 2075. So we want to be placed in a position where we're able to complement that growth. Yes, we will not be able to compete, but at least if we are able to complement, we are able to drive Sri Lanka's economy forward. And also building a regional financial and services hub is something that we're looking at, creating that offshore economy as well for Sri Lanka, because we envisage, or we think and believe that we're able to do what Hong Kong did for China, what Dubai did for the Middle East, and what Malaysia did for Singapore. We need to position ourselves on a regional scale. And also developing a modern business hub for South Asia, especially in the ITES sector. So we've noticed that with our Port City propositions, the fiscal and non-fiscal incentives that are on offer at Port City, we are very competitive to major Asian IT hubs. So we did a study with Boston Consulting Group as well. We come out at about 25 to 30% cheaper than major Asian IT hubs, including tier 1 cities in India. So this actually we have seen, because even in our company registrations in the ITES sector, we are noticing a lot of Indian companies also show interest in setting up their IT companies at Port City to service the region. So this is our vision of what we want to do for Port City. So how do we get there? So I'll take you through the slides numbered 1 to 6. So 1 is definitely we have to drive FDI. So Port City is one of those platforms that can actually facilitate FDI, because it's a foreign currency investment only at Port City. You can transact in 16 designated foreign currencies. LKR is also not permitted. So the idea is to attract these FDIs. Number 2 is to attract new businesses. So by new businesses, we mean we want MNCs to start looking at Sri Lanka when they relocate to South Asia. We want businesses to look, if for example, if they're looking at India as their primary target, we want them to look at Sri Lanka as an alternative, a cost competitive alternative. Also, what we're trying to do is enable local export companies to expand their business activities. So what we noticed in the last 2 to 3 years is that most of our local exporters went and set up their sales offices, their trade offices in countries like Dubai and Singapore, where the regulatory framework was more conducive to doing business. So we want them to now consider Sri Lanka and kind of not locate their businesses offshore. And also, for those companies that left Sri Lanka, we want them to start bringing back their businesses. And now, because they have an offshore solution onshore. And in terms of attracting and retaining talent, so we believe Port City is a solution to the brain drain, one of the solutions, because you're able to be paid, employees are able to be paid in foreign currency, and also you are not liable to pay personal income tax. So this is a huge benefit for employers as well. And also, once you're located at Port City will hopefully have that ecosystem that has all these MNCs established, where you kind of want to go abroad and work for. You don't have to do anymore, you can do it in Sri Lanka. And some staggering statistics, for example, from 2022 and 2023, we lost about 600,000 people due to migration. Out of that, 30% were our skilled workforce. Now I was hoping actually when last year's stats were released that would have been reduced, but last year also saw another 300,000 people leave. So we need to plug this. I mean, Sri Lanka needs to be able to show confidence to our Sri Lankan people, I think, in the first place, before actually trying to try and attract foreigners also. So this is something that we're trying to do at Port City, is kind of provide a solution for our locals as well to actually grow in this country. And also a modern city for the next generation. So you might have noticed even the infrastructure that has been built at Port City. We have done certain things. For example, on the sides of our boulevards, we have done things called utility tunnels. So these utility tunnels, you have all the services running through it. So for example, you will not have what you see in Colombo, where if you want to do maintenance work on a sewerage pipe, you break the road to access the sewerage pipe. Here there are tunnels that actually have dedicated access where you can plan and do maintenance work. And also boosting investor confidence. I mean, seeing a project like this boom for Sri Lanka, it's going to have a spillover effect for the mainland. You're going to see the effect of positive externalities happening in the mainland. If investors feel confident in investing at Port City or investing in Sri Lanka, they will invest elsewhere as well in Sri Lanka. And also, this is a question we get from a lot of foreign investors, is how does Sri Lanka compete in scale? I mean, even if we do locate here, how we are going to scale, or what's the scalability for Sri Lanka? So we hope with Port City being developed, that scalability also increases. We prove to be a bit more scalable in the long run as well. Right. And another thing I just want to touch on is these stats. So this is the economic impact and contributor to the Sri Lankan economy. These are not stats or figures that we came up with. This is done by an independent economic assessment done by PwC. So for example, I'll just take you through each one so I kind of can explain also. So during construction, we'll have about 465,000 jobs created. And also once operational, we have another 144,000 jobs. And in terms of creating FDIs, so we have already committed to invest $1.4 billion. To date, we have invested $1.2 billion. So we have a further 200 million, and we are not stopping there. We're actually investing a few other vertical developments as well as at Port City. Once you see all of Port City's vertical developments complete and the city is operational, we expect about $15 billion in FDI coming in. And also a $20 billion economic value addition during construction is expected. And like I mentioned, the spillover effect. So creating that confidence will also create investors to invest in other areas of Port City, other areas of Sri Lanka, sorry. And also in terms of value addition to your GDP, so this is an interesting stat. So it's $14 billion annually that will be added to Sri Lanka's GDP once Port City is fully operational. Just to give you an idea of how much this is, so we talk about our number one foreign exchange income earners. So we have textiles, we have apparels, we have tourism. So in 2018, tourism was the third highest, and tourism only earned in their best year to date $4.5 billion. So this is about a three times multiple increase in terms of how much this could inject to Sri Lanka's economy. And also, as many of you are aware, Sri Lanka suffered very simply a balance of payment crisis in the last 2 to 3 years. So this is another 6 billion infusion to the balance of payments is expected once Port City is operational. Right, so government revenue. So there is, I'm just going to show that $2 billion can be attracted through the lease of the government allocated lands. So I mentioned we have a leasehold right for certain land parcels, and the government has their own land parcels that they can monetize. So this $2 billion is a lump sum payment that the government will get once they're able to monetize their land parcels. Also during the construction, the government will be able to collect about $2.4 billion from revenue streams such as stamp duty, withholding taxes, taxes on earnings, etc. And also, once operational, Port City will be able to generate for the country another additional $960 million annually in terms of government revenue. Now, this is from indirect taxation. So, for example, you know, employees at Port City earn in foreign currency. They will actually bank that foreign currency in a commercial bank, licensed commercial bank on the mainland. Once you start consuming, you start converting that foreign currency. And then you start paying for services rendered on the mainland, you are paying taxes for those services. So the whole idea is also to develop this indirect taxable revenue stream for the country also. And yeah, so just wanted to kind of clear that notion that, you know, you're giving tax incentives, the government is not earning anything out of it. So this is where the government revenue stems from. Right, so not going to touch on this too long. I mean, pretty simple. What we're trying to do here is build a modern city. It's a common notion, I think, us all Sri Lankans haven't seen a city being developed in our generation at least. So we need to kind of also break our mindset to understand that this is a city development. It's going to take 20, 30 years, but there are small goals to achieve every 3 to 5 years that we have set ourselves. I'll actually show you in the next few slides. But this requires continuous public buy-in. It has to be a consistent process and also buy-in from all stakeholders. So we're definitely trying to create something that is comparable to international cities around the world, some place that you can be proud to work in, live, and also have, enjoy life. Right, so Sri Lanka's first multi-services SEZ. So initially, Port City's construct was actually set up as a purely real estate development play. What happened later on was that the government decided that there are certain gaps in the regional market, especially for the doing business, that need to be enhanced. So what they did was actually demarcate Port City as a special economic zone by way of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act that was passed in 2021. Once the act was passed, it actually allowed for a commission to be set up and that commission is the single window investment facilitator for Port City. So as we are the primary developer, the commission is the sole regulator authority. So for example, if you want a building permit or if you want your visas, you only go to the commission. You don't go to any other authority. And this is due to, obviously our inherent issues with the ease of doing business in the past. I don't know if you remember, but when the World Bank had its index, we were on 99 for many years. But they have done away with that index now. But so yeah, hopefully Port City, if they reintroduce that index, Port City would have actually enhanced Sri Lanka's ease of doing business ranking. So a few things I'm going to touch on these tiles. Excuse me. So there are exemptions that can be granted under the Foreign Exchange Act for the enhanced mobility of capital for businesses that are registered at Port City. Also 100% foreign ownership is allowed. Like I mentioned before, employees are remunerated in foreign currency and 0% income tax on employment income. Also, there are investment protection mechanisms through the law and contracts. So the law itself has a dedicated investment protection clause, and also investment agreements you sign also have further protection in a further clause in those agreements. There is also a dedicated International Alternate Dispute Resolution Center. Now this is being set up and was provisioned in the law because of the issues that Sri Lanka faces. For example, it takes about 4 years for a commercial case to be heard in court and reach conclusion. Now no foreign investor is going to wait that long if they want to actually do business actively in a country. So which is why we have set up the arbitration center. We hope Sri Lanka will be a seat of arbitration in the future. That is also another revenue stream that could be attracted, like Singapore is to the region. This center actually is operational now through WTC, although you don't see the infrastructure, because to date we have about 140 plus companies that are part of our ecosystem at Port City. So the center is already up and running. We also have a special visa scheme for Port City, so you have 5 to 10 year visas. Something very unique here is that for the Sri Lankan ecosystem is that currently expatriates have to renew their visa annually in Sri Lanka. These visas are given at a maximum of 5 years or for the duration of your employment contract. So you don't have to annually renew your visa. Also, these visas are eligible for your spouse and children. So if an expat or a foreign national is going to migrate or relocate, you can actually do so with your spouse and your children. Also, there is no cap on foreign employment. You can have 100% foreign cadre, you can have 100% local cadre. You can do as you choose. Also, there are 25-year tax incentives and exemptions for the businesses that are classified as businesses of strategic importance. And like I mentioned before, you can freely transact in 16 designated foreign currencies. You cannot transact in LKR. The 16 designated foreign currencies are the currencies that are designated by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka currently. So the 16th currency that was recently added is INR. Right, so moving on to the kind of the persona of each of our districts at Port City. As we move to the financial district, you can consider it as the heart of Port City. It is, thank you. Next slide. So it's the heart of Port City. It's where you see the most dense buildings, the tallest towers. This is where it fuels the rest of the city. This is the marina, so this actually is more lifestyle, entertainment oriented. This marina is very similar to what you see in Singapore. That's the kind of lifestyle, the ambience, the environment that we want to bring to Sri Lanka. This is the International Island. The International Island is predominantly social infrastructure projects and developments, and also we have this very unique development, which is the integrated resort and theme park. It's a 15.2 hectare development, about 38 acres, modeled after Marina Bay Sands. So the idea is to have a top-tier resort and theme park operator here, and also a top-tier gaming operator at Port City and for Sri Lanka. Central Park is very mostly public spaces, very residential, so it's something that will kind of interface between community, wellness, and kind of living standards that reach those sustainability principles that we are now all following. And island living is the rest that you see, which is predominantly close to the beach, which is predominantly residential, so you have these very low to mid-rise structures at Port City. And in summation, that's the 5 personalities. So that's what makes up the city. So you might ask, okay, what has happened thus far? Where is Port City right now? So I have a few pictures to kind of show you. So this is when Port City started. This is in 2017, I mean, the reclamation started in about 2017 onwards. As you can see, some iconic pictures. So the one on the top left actually involves one of the largest self-propelled cutter suction dredgers in the world, Jungyang 1. We also have, I mean, on the right-hand side, you might see the breakwater being built. That was actually built using Chinese pods. These Chinese pods are actually interlocking structures that were put on top of the seawalls. So what happens is it's kind of dynamic, so it adjusts to wave motion, wave action. So along the way, along the years, you'll see these actually not technically be in the same place it was before, because it keeps moving. Very slightly, you won't notice it. And this is where we are at now. So you can see most of our infrastructure is done. We tell and we communicate to the world that Port City is ready for vertical development. So right now what we're trying to do is attract foreign investments to develop Port City and get it off the ground. You might notice I was talking about the utility tunnels before. So the utility tunnels is that picture there. As you can see, it's a very comfortable space for maintenance work to happen. This is what we're trying to do at Port City, and we've come a very long way. So now it's just the next phase of attracting investments. So existing developments, this is not an AI image. This is actually an image taken from our bridge at night. You might have seen this in social media also, so it's beautiful. Hopefully, say in about 20 years, we will see an image from the other side looking towards Port City, and you'll see Port City skyline. So in terms of developments we have the duty-free, which is operational since September last year. We have 3 renowned duty-free operators that are part of this facility. We have China Duty-Free, which is one of the top 3 duty-free operators in the world. We have One World Duty-Free from Singapore that is also operational, and we'll soon have Flamingo. So Flamingo is already set up their retail store. They're just waiting on operational approvals. This is the business center. This also, the pictures are a bit dated. You might have seen it when you drove by. It's nearing completion. We are going to hand over to tenants by next month. It's about 120,000 square feet of office space, and about 75% of it is already committed to tenants in terms of space. So what can you look forward to at Port City coming up in the next few years? So we have a few parcels here you can see earmarked for development in the next 3 to 5 years. First being in no order, by the way, just kind of going through it, but we have the International University, which will be able to host 3,000 to 4,000 students. We have already a commitment from a top-tier operator from Australia. This will also focus on very distinct degrees, medical, business, IT, basically to also fuel the demand that Port City will create in terms of jobs and opportunities. Also, we have a 1,000 student capacity international school that's going to come up with a 300 bed boarding. We have also received commitment from a legacy operator from London. This school actually has a 200-year history, so we're very excited to see this school come on board also. And in terms of the hospital, we have a 500-bed facility coming up. This facility will also be focusing on tertiary and quaternary care, so very specialized medical procedures like kidney transplants, etc. And we are hoping to have the operator also that has shown commitment is Mayo Clinic from the USA. So their first move to Asia, so we are hoping this will also create some interest in Port City. So as you can see, what we're also trying to do very subtly is to diversify our tourism basket, because we noticed that Sri Lanka has historically had only business and leisure tourists, very little adventure tourism, but here we will now see medical tourism, education tourism coming into Port City and into Sri Lanka most importantly. And this is also a very interesting project. This is our Colombo International Financial Center. Designs are somewhat complete. We're just waiting on the finalities of financial closure to start construction and the groundbreaking. And the marina development, well, this is something that already started. On the 10th of January this year, we broke ground. We are hoping this will be operational within 36 months. So that's what Brown's Investment has told us as well. So we're looking forward to having this operational. And here again, what we're trying to do is kind of develop that yacht culture lifestyle that you see in Fiji, in other island nations that we kind of lack. And also it's very important to understand that there is no luxury marina in South Asia and also between Dubai and Singapore. So what we're trying to do is kind of attract that gap. The only marina you see that is of some standard is in the Maldives, but that is also a mass marina, not a luxury marina. And then also the Marina Hotel, which is another adjacent plot. This has also been leased. This is with Brown's Investment, so we're hoping this also will kick into gear sometime this year. And finally is the Marina Residencies. Also happy to kind of inform everybody here that this also is reaching financial closure. We have got an investor for this land parcel. We're just doing the final paperwork. So hopefully you will see an announcement by the first half of this year that these residential development will be coming online. And finally is the convention center. So this is something that's very important for Sri Lanka, very important for MICE tourism. This is a huge gap in the tourism market that we haven't leveraged on or capitalized. So I think following His Excellency's visit to China, China committed a grant of $100 million to develop this convention center. Very important for us because the only convention center we have of certain standard is the one at BMICH. It's celebrating, I think, its 53rd year this year. If you call today, you will not be able to get a reservation or a booking because it's booked till August. So, I mean, obviously we're missing out on a lot of events and trade fairs that we could do in Sri Lanka. Even, for example, I remember at one point the ADB regional conference is supposed to happen in Sri Lanka, but we also couldn't have it because we didn't have the infrastructure. Or also we didn't have the hotel keys that they needed to accommodate a conference of that structure. So yeah, we'll have about 4,000 seating indoor capacity and about 5,000 outdoor. So sustainability, so this is something that is very important now, especially in modern times. So what we've done is, as you notice, 1/3 of Port City's landmass is dedicated to open spaces, public parks, and also we're trying to encourage a pedestrian lifestyle. So we have shaded walkways, and also we have cycling paths. So things that what we're trying to do is reverse or kind of invert the transportation hierarchy. We also have a central waterway that goes through, so I mean it does look nice, but there's a functionality to it. What we're trying to do here also is have water taxis and water transportation happen. So you see this in Thailand, etc. Sri Lanka also has a lot of internal waterways that were utilized in the past, and now we're trying to promote this as well. So in terms of, I'm just going to skip through this very quickly. So what we're trying to do is, what we're trying to say is that we have done a ESG audit also in the past. We're trying to focus on developing Port City as a sustainable city. We're following ESG principles and also UN SDG goals and GRI standards. Next, please. So final completion timeline is by 2040, 2041, 42 is when we hopefully will see Port City as you see in that model there behind you. But in the next 3 to 5 years, like I mentioned, you will see a lot of development at Port City. So here's hoping that all of it comes into place, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Yeah, thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me. Might have been a bit boring and a lot of facts, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask me later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vijayaratna. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have now come to the starting moment of today's workshop titled Teaching Tomorrow's Titans, Preparing Future Leaders to Harness Disruptive Technologies Sustainably. And our resource person for today is none other than Mr. Peter de Almeida. Mr. Almeida is the former managing director as well as the chief executive of Enable, an IT company he founded in 2008. With the aim of connecting people and things with insights for an efficient and intelligent world. Today, Enable employs over 250 employees with a revenue exceeding $25 million. During his over 30-year career span, Mr. Almeida pioneered the introduction of several new technologies in Sri Lanka. He worked as the country head of Sun Microsystems USA in Sri Lanka, as well as the regional head for India, as well as South Asia for Sun Service. Mr. Almeida was also the CEO of Millennium IT. He served on the Global Marketing Council of Cisco Systems and on the Asian Regional Partner Advisory Councils of Palo Alto and Cisco Systems. He's also an alumnus of INSEAD France. While his diverse career spans nearly 4 decades in IT, in advertising, in banking, Peter has also enjoyed a parallel career as a director, and as we all know, as an actor. So with that, I cordially invite Peter to take over the stage. So the floor is over to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to be here in this interesting place. I have not been inside the port city. I will talk about that a little later. But it's quite fascinating, the work that's going on here. So thank you for inviting me. Firstly, I was told there's going to be a workshop. So workshop කියන්නේ අපි ඉතින් not like this, no? I thought there'll be round tables and there'll be a whiteboard and there'll be some flip charts and we are going to create content ourselves. Ask you, what are the challenges you see as you sit in this wonderful university of yours and at the PIM and look into the future. Then I called, Amali called me and she said, what's the dress code? She said, formal. I was so confused. So anyway, here we are. So I think this workshop is going to be in the form of my talking for a few minutes. I'll talk for about 30 minutes. I think that's more than enough for someone to say what they have to say. And then we'll engage in a good conversation. Is that okay? Yeah. So interesting topic, isn't it? Tech titans. Big word, no? Titans. So it's good to be ambitious. Tech titans of tomorrow, preparing future leaders to harness disruptive technology. I have a question, a big question about this title itself. Are you setting yourself up for something far too fancy than what you are really expected to do in the university? After all, what are titans? Titans comes from the Greek mythology, neither. Titans is a race of gods. So today to be a titan, you have to be godlike and powerful and influential. That's why they call some people tech titans. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, all scoundrels, no? All scoundrels. They don't pay $1 in tax. So if these are the people, when you say titans, and if our students think, titans කියන්නේ මුන් වගේ උන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට full owl. Because then you can't have sustainability for sure. Because their work is not going to sustain humanity and the planet. It's going to destroy us much faster than we think. So I understand why you chose that topic. It's to create some people who can be influential. I understand that. But I also want to question, when you put yourself in that situation, who are we trying to build in this country today? And let's quickly get to the context in which we find ourselves in this magnificent place. Context is very important. Who are the Tamil-speaking people here? Tamil-speaking? I say, you all didn't invite a single Tamil person. Terrible bloody thing. No? Tamil orutharum illaya? Ennada? Okay, right, whatever. Okay. So in Tamil also they say Sandarbam. I'm sorry, I'll use the water because the recent past, I find that my mouth is parched. In fact, I'm doing an endoscopy on the 19th. So bear with me if I keep going there to get water. Now, what's the context in which we are meeting? Because sometimes you can get carried away, you know. You come to a place like this and you think, my God, a wonderful setting, and you have seen the presentation of what this country is going to be like. But what's the real context? Two things that I want to draw your attention to. Firstly, we are bankrupt. ඒක අමතක කරන්න එපා. We are bankrupt. That means, you know, you all teach finance and accounting and all that. Bankrupt means, what does it bankrupt? බංකොලොත්, lovely word in Sinhala. බංකොලොත් කිව්වම හිතනවා විනාසයි කියලා. ඉතින් ඒක තමයි තත්ත්වය. You can hear all kinds of fancy things, but we'll look at the data. So bankrupt means what? In a business, I have never heard till some years ago when Iceland became bankrupt. That's the first time I thought, I say countries become bankrupt. I had never heard thought of that, Travis? We order companies, ned? So companies, so what does it mean? It means you don't have money for the day-to-day expenses of the company in a sustainable way, not to cut salaries and all that. Sustainable way. You don't have money for that. You definitely don't have money to invest in the future in a bankrupt company. But in the country context, look at what has happened. The biggest drawback, the biggest, what shall I say, harm that has come to us is we have lost good people. How many people have we lost, Dr. Nilangi, from Jayawardhanapura, faculty, staff? How many? Percentage, roughly? Travis, have you lost people at PIM? No? You have? You have, I'm sure. Samanin, what's the percentage? Now, Peradeniya told me 30%. 30% of our best and brightest people have gone. Doctors, 1,800. 400 specialists. There were 12, I think, pediatric cardiologists. Mama hitana vidiyata, I could be wrong here. There are now 6. So how are we going to take care of our future? That's why I want to start by paying a tribute to all of you who are here. You all have really stayed back. You all have had opportunities to go abroad. So firstly, I want to start by paying a tribute to all of you. Fine, qualified people, you all can easily get jobs abroad, but you have made a decision. Maybe sometimes for family reason, but maybe some of you have also decided, some of us have to stay back and pull this country out of this mess. So I start with that. And it's in that context, with respect, that I also want to challenge you. So when we have this conversation going, don't be offended. It comes from a good place. It doesn't come from talking down to people. It's coming from a place where we want to challenge people like you. You're all smart people to think of the world differently. So coming back to context. So Bankulot, know people to train our next generation, inspire them, motivate them, guide them, and to take care of their needs. Doctors lema naththam kohomada me wade geniyanne? Now again, I'm hearing there's a shortage of drugs. I went to a pharmacy recently in Navala. He said, sir, there's a shortage of drugs. He said, I'm told, he's telling me, he's a very senior pharmacist. He said, I think Osusala also there's a shortage. Now don't forget, this bankruptcy, you will see budget and this, that and all that. We have not started to repay our debt. Eka mataka tiyaganna. We have not started to repay the debt. So this is not going to be an easy ride. Point number 1. Equally frightening is technology disruption that's in your topic. This bloody AI business. Now, how many of you use Deep Think or ChatGPT in your phones, Atausan? Now look. Patapita balla Atausan. Right. Okay, good. I'm happy. Now, the thing is this. This technology is not like anything else we have seen in the past. Don't kid yourself. This is, people said, I say technology hamadama tibba eka disrupt no. This is very different. The people who are in this game, but the top scientists, data scientists, engineers are saying this is the beginning of a new species. Alut vargya. You say vargya, no? For species, ned? Alut vargya. What does that mean? Since the life appeared on Earth 4 billion, some billions of years ago, for the first time, we are seeing another inorganic species growing. Because these are models that are trained unlike our educational system. That's why I want to come to. In our educational system, you tell children what to learn. Unta pona danuma. Meka karanna, meka gana ganna, meka katapadan karanna, meka uttara liyanna. But these models, they are different from humans because they are taught how to learn. Then they reason and learn on their own. Then you have no control. Now picture the scenario that they are saying. And it's happening today. I was talking to a young guy who is a very well-known entrepreneur. He came to dinner and his wife is saying, this guy talks to his personal assistant, whom he calls a particular name. If I tell you the name, I'll disclose him. He talks to the personal assistant more than he talks to me. Go for the wedding. He is now talking to ChatGPT person. Now say, Peter, I have another name, Julian. My person is Julian. I talk. Now, Julian, I'm going for a talk today, Sri Jayawardhanapura University. These are the people who will come. This is the topic. This is what I'm trying to say, you know. and this will now tell me some guidelines, what to talk about. Forget that. It starts understanding who I am and listening to my text messages, my WhatsApp, all that it'll say. Suddenly it'll say, "Good morning, Peter. You're not doing too very well, are you, today?" "Yes, Julian, I've been having a few issues." "Is it with your partner?" You know, Kanchana, Travis, my partner. "I noticed that some of your recent messaging talks to her, your calls have been a little, unpleasant." "Yeah, you're right. Shall I do something about it? What can you do?" "Shall I talk to Kanchana's personal assistant?" Now, that my agent won't talk to Kanchana. He'll talk to her personal assistant. They have a conversation. And then they will decide how they are going to conspire, depend on various parameters, whom they're going to screw over. Or maybe they'll find a solution. So this is the context in which now you're thinking of preparing your students. Forget about being titans and leaders, we'll come to that, to be worthy citizens. It's in this context that I want you to look at education and invite you to re-look at your own university and all of your programs, every single one of them. That's why we also had the Aragalya, the third point I want to make. The Aragalya, what was that? I mean, we all came to Golfes here and gave so much of our time and energy. Why? Because we said there has to be a fundamental change, what some people call system change. Ogalanga university ke system change ka kunad. Mogna system change. Same old, same old. So, is that all right? So are we really, I mean, companies, we can't afford to do that, particularly in companies that we ran. We are constantly looking at the changing world around us and changing our plan, our business plan. My company, I'll come to that later, but I want to stay in the topic. So what are the fundamental changes that you need to look at? Is it enough for our students to come out of your university? And I have a great respect for Sri Javadapur because you all do events like this. And that in itself is groundbreaking. That to bring people together like this, throw topics like this, that's in itself, and I commend you. So, you think that your graduate program is going to prepare them for this uncertain, dramatically changing future. My talk, if I gave this last February, would have been very different because DeepSeek hadn't come. Within 6 months, an unknown company in China by an unknown entrepreneur brought out a model that completely rattled the US. They thought we are going to lead for another 3 years, we're going to have a lead over China. And they went and got investors to come saying, this is something you need high-powered computers, NVIDIA, M100 chip, this, that, all that, billion. And the bloody fools went and invested in OpenAI. Today, these fellows came and said, it's for free. Take it, run it. How fast have you adopted this at Sri Javadrapura University? Have you told all your students, welcome, we want every one of you, when you come for the new term, to have deep think in your phones. Otherwise, don't come to class, or ChatGPT or whatever. I'm saying deep think because it's free and it's widely available and all of that. So now we come to, so what is needed at a time like this in our universities? What are we going to empower them with? Now take finance. I was reading, I gave this, I think you remembered our economic summit. Before that at SEMA had a talk on accounting. And there is very interesting for those of you who are in finance and accounting, go and read this book. It's a book called The End of Accounting and the Path Forward for Investors and Managers. It's by a guy called Baruch Lev, New York Stern School of Business, and Feng Gu, Associate Professor and Chair of Department of Accounting, University of Buffalo. Now they say, our bloody old damn profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow is so archaic. You can make no investor decision based on those 3 archaic instruments. And the double entry is what, 550 years or something like that, bookkeeping. Still the same. And in the book they start by analyzing the balance sheet of US Steel. in 1902 and the balance sheet of US Steel in 2012. Nothing has changed. How is that? When 1902, Theodore Roosevelt in third year, Ford motor car has come out in the first car, no television, no air transport, no shopping malls, no internet. So in that world and today's world, same tools you are using for investment decisions. Supposing you use the same medical test, your accounting is to check the health of the business, right? Health of. අපි 1902 වල test එක පාවිච්චි කරා නම් for today's health, where will we be? We'll be completely out, no? So, how is that going to change? Now, for example, finance and accounting, AI is going to completely take away the standard jobs, for sure. Most of these jobs will go. So, we are teaching, I know it's your curriculum and all that, but can we go beyond that? Can we question, is this enough? No. So coming back to, so what are we going to empower students with? So now in 2015, PricewaterhouseCoopers did a study and they interviewed 3,000 CEOs from all across the world. And they asked them, as you prepare for this uncertain future, and their study was done looking at 2030. They said, as you prepare for the, and this is called the workforce of the future. 2030, when you look at 2030, what are the pivotal talent that you are looking for in your top hires? Now, they didn't say university degree, MBA, all of that. Now, don't get me wrong. Those are very important. You can get a degree, get a doctorate, excellent. But is it enough? That's the question. They said, as we look to this uncertain future, we are looking at 4 critical criteria. Number 1, creativity. Number 2, problem solving. Number 3, collaboration. Number 4, communication. ඔය හතරම අපේ පාසල් ක්‍රමයෙන් නැති කරලම දාන්න. Finish, no? Every child is born creative. Because when NASA did a test, you know NASA, National Aeronautics Space Agency, US, top scientists, rocket scientists, they did a test for them to see how creative they are, not how technically superior, how creative. They gave the same test to 5-year-olds. 90% of the 5-year-olds came out in the genius category. They repeated the test when they were 10. It dropped to 36. They repeated the test when they were 15. It dropped to 12. Then they did the test in their adulthood. It dropped to 2. So what happened? 5-year-old creativity, what happened? When you're 5, what do? You send them to school. Finished. Problem solving, take problem solving. To solve problems, you have to fail, no? In our education system, fail kyane vinasa. No chance. Forget fail, man. You get 98 marks for a subject. You all have those who have young children, school-going children, show of hands. School-going children, Ratusan, right. Now you go no parent-teachers meeting. Now your child has got 98 marks for home science or chemistry or physics or religious knowledge or whatever. What is the first question you all ask? Mokadan? Mokad bhai natu kiya dogla boru karan depa. What do you all ask? 2 marks. Some parents ask something else from the teacher. Venakata ari siyak kamunan. Venakata. Tarangakari. Teacher will also say, oh, hatara pasunta modaya. Umbata ganda bari unad. Now we are laughing. Now that 2 marks, now when they come to an interview to enable, I am going to look at the report. I say, what grade 8, anu atai ne hammune. Home science. not any use at all. But what do you do to the child? You kill that child's self-confidence. No? Finished. The child will think, you know what? I got 98 marks. And still my parents don't think I'm good enough. Now you want to make leaders out of them. And titans. මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට titans වෙන්න යන්නේ. නැති කළ තම ආත්ම විශ්වාසය නැති කළ lost their sense of pride, confidence, gone. So that's our school system. Collaboration. They don't get children to talk. මචං මොකද්ද සර් කිව්වේ? මොකද එදෙන කතා කරන්නේ? ඔයාගේ වැඩේ ඔයා කරන්න, ඔයාගේ වැඩේ ඔයා කරන්න. Collaboration. Communicate. Speak. ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න එපා. ප්‍රශ්න පඬිතයා. පඬිත ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න එපා. So that's the story, you know. And then they say, I can hear in the classroom, lamai kෑ ගන්න එපා, දඟ කරන්න එපා, කෑ ගන්න එපා, දඟ කරන්න එපා, කෑ ගන්න එපා, දඟ කරන්න. In grade 6 you say දැන් කතාව පවත්වන්න. ලෝකේ ගැන හරි, Elon Musk ගැන හරි. I mean, what are we doing to our children? It's these children who come to the university. Not very different. Your universities are not very different. So how can we relook at education? Firstly, I would like to suggest to you this hierarchy. This hierarchy in the university system is very, very stifling. You all have learnt it from the British. Kamak ne ara gaun ema andala boma hondai, very good. But in campus, even the dean and all that, a little more. Now even today, balanna we putu tika wenam putu set එකක් මේ හොඳ ලොකු අයට. No need. This is all old world, Everybody sits together, this hierarchy and big chairs. And this is our මානසිකත්වය. Feudal. I don't mean any harm, Nilangi, දැන් ඔයා කලබල වෙන්න එපා. No. So you see, we have seen this, I mean, especially under the few president, big chair for the president, like a throne, all the minions on the side. I mean, this world has to change. So I think in the university, the first thing we have to scrap this hierarchical system. That, the dean and the vice chancellor, they are human beings, man. They're ordinary people. They're nice people most of the time. But when you put him in that hierarchy, he or her, she has to function like that. Now in our company, I talk to everyone. On their first day, I do the final interview. I have it over a cup of tea. I don't even have it at office. We had a Dilma tea lounge. Whether he's a university intern or whatever, my meeting is there. And humility. If I'm going to be late, I will call. I won't even get my secretary to call. I will call this university student who's coming for an internship, because I'm going to the Dilma, and I'll call him to say, I am 2 minutes late, not 10 minutes late, 2 minutes late. I will call, because that's the respect I have to say, you are coming to work with us. We treat you with respect. We don't keep people waiting. So, this hierarchy, is it stifling learning? How do we engage? And also secondly, student-centered. How can we be more student-centered? In other words, we ask students when they come, the first week is all about, what are your expectations? We don't teach them anything in the first week. Get them to, in fact, now they're saying it should be student-led. The students will say, today, what shall we talk about? So what does it mean to be student-centered? Will those approaches that we have change the way in which we can start teaching these children about curiosity and all of that? And I forgot to mention that. Now, if you take all of these things that you spoke about, underlying creativity, problem solving, collaboration, and communication, the only thing you have to teach children today is curiosity. කුතුහලය තියෙනවා නම් හොඳටම ඇති. Now I'll tell a little story about myself, not that I want to talk about my life, but I think there's something to learn from it. Now, I was born into a very large family. My father was 40. When he married, my mother was 20. 20 gap එකක් තිබ්බා. And my father is a good Catholic. So in the Bible it says, go forth and multiply. So he went and did that job very nicely. එයා හොඳට multiply කරලා ළමයි 11 දෙනෙක් හැදුවා. So I was the youngest. Number 11. My elder sister, 19. She was my godmother. Now, when I was 4, my father died. Now, mind you, 6 years ago, I became a grandfather. I was 61. Now, I'm 67. My father was still becoming a father at 60. Mara Vedda. So, then anyway, after his go forth and multiply, he dropped dead. So, 11 children, my mother, elder sister married and gone, 10 children, mother 11, grandmother 12, 2 cousins also he has bought to stay with us. 14 people in the house, no income. So later on I asked my mother, I call her Mafia, Mafia, Amma, Mafia. Mafia, people think she's a tough woman, small maid, not at all like the Mafia. I said, Mafia, weren't you terrified when this happened? No. Why? I knew that God will provide. Mara වැඩේනේ I see. Balan, but that, see, I am an atheist now, agnostic. But God will provide. That's the foundation. පදනමක් තියෙනවා යාට. With that foundation, we are all now solid. No, she is standing firm. She is not කලබල වෙලා and දඟලනවා and all that. So, but of course, God can't give food, no. So, two of my eldest sister and my brother had to chuck up. One of them wanted to do degree also, and went to work. And shared, brought the salary, kept the family going. Even when I went to work, 15 years later, now she has to sustain this family. Mum podiya kada arudu 4යිනේ. At least till I'm 19, she has to hold this family together. So we had limited resources, economics, how to manage with scarce resources. So she, somehow we all, even when I went to work, I started as a bank clerk at State Bank of India. My salary was 467 rupees. It came in an envelope. ඒක මං ගෙදරට ගෙනල්ලා දෙනවා. Other we had to pool the resources. Then next day, bus fare and lunch money I get from her. And we didn't have beds. We had a big hall. First person who goes to sleep will sweep the hall. Yeah, පැදුරක් දානවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි පැදුර දානවා. අපි නිදා ගන්නවා බිම. So that's how we grew. But in a way, my father passing away, I think, changed my life. Because he would have conditioned my mind. He would have said, I would have asked him, now Dad, how did the whole world was created? The world, everything was created in 7 days. I'll say, no Dad, that's impossible. Hima වෙන්න බෑනේ. These black holes and universe and galaxies, you would have given me one slap and said, shut up. That's what's in the Bible. ලෝකෙ හැදුනේ දවස් 7ෙන්. So my curiosity, everything would have gone. So I grew up completely free from that kind of influence, and my mind is being shaped by somebody. My mother had no time to run behind me. So when I came to, I was a very good student. I was a head prefect. And when I came to my A-levels, those days O-levels, we had chemistry, physics, whenever subjects, both prizes I won. But I went to the A-levels, I lost interest in that way of learning and memorizing and writing. In fact, I was asking questions for those who had done physics. My maths master came, he was teaching quantum. So I was telling him, I'm very interested in Max Planck and Niels Bohr. ඒගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රශ්න අහලා මාස්ටර් කිව්වා අයිසර් තමසේ පීට පඬිත ප්‍රශ්න වල ෂුවර් එකටම ෆේල් වෙයි. හරියට හරිය කිව්වා වගේ මං ෆේල්. ෆේල් කියන්නේ I didn't show up. So what is it that got me to where I am? How did I didn't go to a university. I didn't go to a business school. How did we run one of the best technology companies in the country? Curiosity. No internet. So how did we? I used to hire some of the best engineers in the country. I had to interview them. Then I'd go and tell customers stories about technology. You think, can we create an atmosphere like that in our universities? That's the question. So what's your role? In the age of AI, you see our children they won't come to university, I'm telling you. Professor Saroj Jayasinghe told me that medical students are not coming. Because he says there are fantastic videos on YouTube where they will teach you gastroenterology or whatever it is better than our lecturers can. So they'll go to deep, they'll come to your class and they'll know, not better than you, they'll know something about the subject if they come prepared. You are not the person with the knowledge. That's not the role of teachers anymore, especially those young people at the back. May instructors ඔයගලගේ රසාව දැනුම කියන එක නෙමෙයි. You can't, it's impossible for you to bring all the knowledge to answer all the questions that's going to come up in your classroom. That's not your role. Then what is your role? To facilitate discussion, do enough background work. Your lesson preparation must be solid. You know the kind of things that you want to inspire the class with, and then you start saying, let's talk about this. And invite them to start the lesson saying, let's take double entry bookkeeping. What do you think? Is it good enough? Whatever. Or finance, any subject. So are you ready for that? Are you all ready? The heads of these institutions to challenge these norms. So that's kind of where I want to kind of leave this discussion. Are we preparing? Because you see, don't forget, these children come to you. For 4 years, they're going to be in your institution. I would do wonders if I felt that I had 100 students, 200 students, 300, 500 students coming, I will inspire my team to say, these children are coming to us. They are going to be with us for 4 years. What are we going to do with them? Are we just going to teach them the curriculum? How are we going to rechange the way we are doing things so that they come here, they can have access to information and knowledge. What are the skills we are going to impart in them? And if you can only impart the skill of curiosity, then you have done a wonderful job. So, preparing titans and leaders, be careful. Don't set up so much expectation for your children, for your students. අපි කවුරුත් titans වෙන්න බලාගෙන ආවොත් ඔළුව අවුල් වෙනවා අපේ. See, don't try to teach people to be leaders. Leadership is a quality. It's not a position. That's why I have met so many CEOs, Travis, in my life. I can tell you honestly, I can count I've struggled to count 5 leaders among them. I have met so many CEOs, MDs, all these people I've met. I'm telling you, they're not leaders. They are MDs and CEOs, all that. But leadership is what? Show the way. You show the way at a difficult time. What did our great leaders do? At COVID, threw people out of jobs, cut their salaries. That's why I say my mother, she didn't come to Jayawardhanapura, but she was a leader. Why? She didn't throw anybody out of the house when 14 people were left in the house. 2 of my nephews, cousins, she could have said, you all have to go to an orphanage. She would have sent my grandmother to a old age home. She said, no, I'm a leader. I have to hold this together. So, don't set out, Nilangi, to build leaders or titans. Then you give them a complex. They start thinking too highly of themselves. Teach them values. Teach them values. As we face this uncertain world, what are the values that are going to define you? Now, talking about values and disruption, I had a very interesting discussion with the governor of the central bank recently. Myself, the governor, 3 deputy governors, assistant governors, and me. I am no economics, nothing. I was gone there to talk to them about how to engage better with unions. And I was telling them that one of the biggest problems that the central bank faces today is that the public has lost faith in the central bank. Correct? The public doesn't trust them. Now, they may be genuinely thinking, the governor must be thinking, I am doing this, this is the best option for the country. But he's following the same old, same old. Now, for example, the central bank, for those of you who are teaching finance in your schools, lost $5 billion treasury. Now, supposing in the companies, Travis, that you are teaching, MBA, your guys have gone, they have become head of treasury at a bank. They are managing the treasury. And the treasury, the CEO is told, we have $5 billion in our treasury. One morning, that fellow comes and says, excuse me, sir, all the money gone. That's what happened to the central bank. Nobody lost their jobs. How are you going to teach management? If a student asks you, Miss, මොකද්ද කියන්නේ මේ management ගැන? අර බිලියන පහක් නැති වෙලා එකකවත් රස්සාව නැති වුන්නේ නැහැනේ. මේකද management කියන්නේ? How come? So, we were discussing, and then I read an interesting book by another governor of the Bank of England called Mark Carney. He was the head of the Bank of England. He was also the head of the Bank of Canada. So he has seen G7 countries. He is now challenging something that all of you all teach in your MBA classes, all that, the market-driven society. Now, advocate also I saw, market-driven. Markets will decide what is best. All bullshit, no? Now, let's see what Carney has to say. He says, market values have evolved into market societies where price determines the value of everything. Market values has contributed to the crisis of credit and climate change. And he says we need to build an economy and society based on human values and not market values only. And he says this market value, we can value Amazon the company at $1.5 trillion, but we don't value the Amazon forest until we cut all the trees and sell it for logging. So, he is now challenging the fundamental principle on which this whole society has been built. And he goes on to say, why is it that the things we value the most, from the environment to frontline workers to keeping children well fed and educated, are so often neglected by the market? Now, supposing our central bank, because we have gone through a crisis, can say no, we're going to look at the world very differently. But otherwise, what are we doing? Same old, even this government. I was shocked when the president, who is come to change, disrupt, appoints the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce as his financial advisor. How is that possible? Clear conflict of interest, no? I'm talking about the sustainability in Iran, sustained society, So how? I was shocked. Not the individual. Individual will govern nice man. That's a different matter. But he holds a position. And their interest, the Chamber of Commerce, only interest is to maximize profit for themselves. That's it. And I'll challenge anyone to prove me or to say that I'm wrong on this. And I've told this to them. Why? Now they have this state-owned enterprise reform. Yalanka has made a loss of 500 billion over so many years. True. We know what happened, where people took their in-laws and families and all on trips and all that. We know all that. But I asked the gentleman who's heading this, Suresh Shah. He was one time chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I asked him very respectfully. I said, that's well and good. When you were chairman of the Colombo Chamber of Commerce, the president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, gave a tax cut that you knew would cause a hole of 900 billion in our country's economy. What did you do? Nothing. They took it greedily. But if you ask them, increase the minimum wage to 20,000, my God, the whole country will die, finished, Ivarai. Today, minimum wage is what? 14,000, 15,000. 20,000 wage before inflation, those of you doing finance, accounting, before the crisis, 20,000 if a person gets a salary. That is today worth only 6,600. Do the number. Economics dala balanda. Real wage into nominal wage. To real, and yeah. So how are we going to have this change? So that's the type of questions we ask the central bank. And talking about hierarchy and outfits and all that, the central bank governor jokingly said that, not joking, he said, I have created an environment here where I'm trying to have these town hall meetings and all that. And he had come in his suit and a tie and all that. And I asked him, governor, then why? I go like this. Then I said, okay, t-shirt staff he laughed. Very respectful he was. The conversation was only 1.5 hours. We went on for 2.5 hours. Very humble. Listen. But my point is, we must be like our students. Come, let's talk. They'll respect you because you bring something to them. Not because you have put a big name board outside saying, I am the Vice Chancellor of the university. Or I am the head of the department. They can even know. So can you become a little more humble? That you don't know it all. And that we are going to learn together. And try and see whether we can give some chance for our students in this very, very difficult time to have a slightly better future, to have an understanding of what technology is all about, and to see together how can we create a better learning experience so that they have a little better chance to survive meaningfully, let alone be a titan or a leader. So I'll stop at that, and we'll have Q&A. What I'd like you to do is each row, if you all can discuss, each row, will you have a slight discussion and come up with at least one question from each row. Shall we do that? So let's take 5 minutes and we'll have a conversation. And you all can also have a conversation, or have you ask your own questions, whatever. Travis, you can turn around to the others, and now we'll start the workshop. They have spoken for 37 minutes, so we are good. ඒක ඔෆ් කරන්න. Okay, shall we start then? Okay, let's go. First question. කවුද අහන්නේ? ඩීන් පටන් ගන්න වැඩේ දෙනවා. හරි. Yes sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, Peter, for the wonderful, thought-provoking session. We felt challenged, happily challenged, and it was very positive impression, Mark, that you created. One thing that I wanted to highlight, based on our reflections, as you very correctly pointed out, the crowd we get to the university system, they have gone through some kind of education where their creativity is killed and assertiveness is not encouraged. So even when they come to university, it takes about 1 to 1.5 years for us to change their mindset to be learning partners in the university system, which is a real challenge. And during that time, when they are in that transformation process, we get certain, let's say, comments, feedback, negative pressure coming from even their families. meaning that this is not the way we need to teach. We need to give them notes, we need to give them this, and this is how we do the exam. There are a lot of other people outside telling us what we should do and how. Their thinking is very much dominated by the conventional, traditional thinking. So we as universities, who are in the middle part of their life transformation after school education, are facing this socio-cultural understanding of what the education or the learning process should be. Now, thinking like what you said is something we rarely get. So what I'm trying to ask you is, based on your experience or reflections, how do we deal with these different other parties, other stakeholders also?
I'll take a direct example from what we did at St. Benedict's College. I worked on for about 3 years, I worked on this with the students, with the teachers, all that, to try and change education. We came up with a purpose. I'll tell you the purpose at St. Benedict's. The purpose is to give hope and opportunity for our students to lead lives with dignity and freedom. බලන්න කොච්චර ලස්සනද කියලා. නිදහස අභිමානනීය ජීවිත ගත කිරීම සඳහා අපේ ශිෂ්‍යයන්ට බලාපොරොත්තු අවස්ථාව ලබා දීම අපේ පරමාර්ථයයි. අපි හැදුවේ through workshops. මේ Harvard එකෙන් ගෙනල්ලා නෙමෙයි. So we evangelized this plan to 5,000 parents. කොහොමද වැඩේ? batch එක ගේනවා parents ලා. ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියනවා මේක තමයි ඉස්සර අධ්‍යාපනය කියන්නේ. කරුණා කරලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්න බෑ ළමයින්ගේ ඔක්කොමලා 100ක් ගනි. You have to educate them. Arjuna, your name is Dushan. You know Dushan. You have to educate parents. So you have to call parents to come and have sessions, all part of orientation. The upper grade 5 enter වෙනකොට, but of course I must say that plan, because of lack of interest from the Christian brothers who run our school, it just, what the amount of work we did. I will come to your office one day and show you the plan. It's all in one page. Travis, you might also like to see it. It's all in one plan, the strategic plan, one page. So with that Simon Sinek's why, start with the purpose. So you need to do that. You need to, as they come in, Parents' Day. මේක තමයි අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලේ මේකයි දැක්ම. Now those people who started, those monks, ඒගොල්ලෝගේ දැක්මක් තියෙන්න ඇතිනේ. කටපාඩම් නෙමෙයි. So මෙන්න මේක තමයි, and tell them මේ ලෝකේ වෙනස් වීගෙන යන්නේ අම්මලා. පොඩ්ඩක් මේ අම්මලා තාත්තලා පොඩ්ඩක් මේක ඔළුවට ගන්න. මෙතනට එන්නේ කටපාඩම් කරලා notes ලියලා කරන්න නෙමෙයි. ඒක බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැරදි බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙන අපේ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය ගැන. මේකෙන් ගොඩ දාගන්න බෑ. කියලා උන් දන්නේ නැනේ දුෂාන්. Even the students, of course, first day itself, you have to break them. I would start a session with students saying, first day when they come to university, all this time you have led some other, වෙනයගේ ජීවිත තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගත කරලා තියෙන්නේ. අද ඉඳන් පටන් ගන්නනේ ඕගලන්ගේ ගමන යන්න. Start like that. I always tell students, ඔයගොල්ලොත් එහෙම තමයි විශාල වැඩි දෙනෙක් විශේෂයෙන් අපේ කාන්තාව. You are leading other people's lives. You have no responsibility whatsoever to live up to other people's expectations of you. අනිත් අය ඔයා ගැන තියෙන බලාපොරොත්තු ඉෂ්ට කරන්න ඔයාට කිසිම වගකීමක් නැහැ. So I think you have to tell as they come in, guys, girls, you know, this is what the world is going to look like. අද පටන් ගන්න ඉස්සලා ඔයාව disrupt කරන්න. මේ ගමනේ යන්න බෑ. අරයා කිව්වා අම්මා කිව්වා තාත්තා. ඒ කියන්නේ not to be arrogant. අම්මා ඔයා කියන එහෙම නෙමෙයි. කියන්නේ අම්මා මට ගමනක් යන්න තියෙනවා. තාත්තා මට ඒකට පොඩි සහයෝගයක් දෙන්න. ඔයාගේ ගමනේ මගේ ටිකක් වෙනස්. ඔයාට තියෙන මට support එක දෙන එකයි. So orientate them and you have to change the plan. So the first few days they come in, you have to break them before you make them. It's like taking a wild horse and breaking it. මෙතන opposite එක. Tame horse or wild කරන්න. So yeah, there's work to be done, Dushan, but it's all hard work. Transformational work is not easy. This is easy. This is easy. Thank you for that opening question. Shall you go to a teacher and then come back to you? Okay. Is that okay? Yeah. Yes, one of the... We'll come back to you all. Front row, designated leaders. Anita, hold it. I'm coming to the two of you. Yes, you all had a question. Yes. Then Mike. Is it okay? We'll come back to you for sure. Yeah? Don't worry.
One thing, this kind of a controversial idea as per your discussion. Now, what happens is in Sri Lankan context, sometimes we can encourage students for their creativity and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, what is happening is that we don't have a kind of a safety net. So what if he fails, as you correctly mentioned, there's no way forward again. So he fails exams or whatever the creativity or what kind of any kind of a idea. So then how you manage such a situation, since we don't have a safety net when it's come to the US or whatsoever? If an innovator or the kind of a entrepreneur fails, there is a kind of a safety net within the system to safeguard his next level work. But in Sri Lankan context, we don't have such a mechanism. So in such a situation, at a systems mechanism, how we can manage, or what is the alternative solution for that?
Okay, what is the safety net that other universities, other countries have?
Maybe government or the social networks safeguard the student or the entrepreneur.
එහෙම වෙනවද?
Most of the case.
Where?
In basically when it's come to the US, so people say that okay, you can fail, and sometimes the banks may be funded again to you to start your work.
Actually, that's not true, because the students who leave university are in massive debt. Student loans. It's become a huge problem. It's become a huge problem. Huge problem. Bernie Sanders and all tried to say, forgive their debt. They're carrying this debt for years. Massive debt. Because private school. But anyway, to answer your question, that is right. That's a great question. That is why this kind of transformation to happen, there must be parallel transformation in the rest of the institutions and the country. Am I correct, Travis? ඒක නැතුව අමාරුයි. That's a great question. Peter, you're saying this, but supposing they don't get the first class honors, second upper and all that, they feel that we have less chance because the people who are taking admission to companies also are saying the same thing. ඒගොල්ලෝ දානවා first, second upper, first class. So now in our company, I'll give you a contrast to what we do, and there must be more companies like this. Now we hired a guy. We were starting a new technology called virtualization for those who do IT. We started that new. We were pioneers in that technology in Sri Lanka. So we asked for applications. We don't put degree and all that. We say, are you interested in this subject area? There was a gentleman who applied. He was a call agent at e-channeling. No degree, nothing. 15,000 rupees salary. This was in 2008 when I started the company, 2010, 2 years out after I started the company. He applied for the job. He said, I will take this job for 10,000 rupees. Because this is a technology I'm interested in, I want to learn this. We said, no, we don't do that. We have a pay for this. It was 30,000 or 40,000 for the first. He came. Second year, he went to 75,000. Third year, 125,000. Now he must be getting at least $500,000. Because he was interested, he learned the technology, no degree, nothing, and we didn't look for that qualification. He brought something, that curiosity. I'm interested in the subject. I will show you how good I am at this technology. We were ready for that, so we could hire him. I'll give you a contrast to that. Another university, I can't mention names, statistics. We were involved in teaching that university statistics. 3 of their batch top applied. None of them, we could give them a job. Batch top. Why? Not to say batch top fellows don't have brains. No. We gave them a problem to solve. Knowing that they can use what they learned in their university to solve this problem. It was not a trick question. But they were not taught problem solving. So they were great guys, but we couldn't hire them. But we hired this guy who didn't have a degree or anything because he had the right mindset to say, I know something about this technology, and he convinced us, and it proved to be right. So that's a question, problem. I completely agree with you. But we have to find a way out of this, no? Because anyway, they just come out with their degrees, they'll get a job, maybe government job, okay. But increasingly, are they going to find meaningful work? So I don't have an answer, a ready-made answer for that. It's just that I still feel that you teach them those skills of, curiosity, go look for answers, apply them. I think they'll have a better chance. And once you inspire them, they will get through the exam. I don't think it's that difficult. It's just that You have to put them on that track, But don't aim for first class and all that. Not necessary. Not necessary. With those skills, you can find your way. But I agree that parallelly, the country and the whole system must change, how they hire people and all that. Yes, thank you. Yes, we'll go to this side now. Yes? A question? Yes.
Pete, actually, I'm in line with what you suggested to how we think, how we change facilitating our student learning. Now, from our side, actually, now we always try to bring that change to our lecture theatres. But the problem is students are not ready because they have been conditioned to be passive learners by our education system, particularly this school education and this tuition. So they have been conditioned to be passive, and we try to bring that change to the lecture theatre. But sometimes we are fed up and we stop that and we come to the conventional teaching. So we have to start, that's the problem.
Where do you start? I'll give you an example. I came to your university last year. 1,000 students කපලා එකයි hall එකම. මදුභාෂිනි දන්නවද ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ? මදුභාෂිනි. දැන් මම ළඟදිත් එනවා මේ the new batch art students full hall started conversation. Then I did experiment, questions, no questions. Then I did what I did today. All first row get together. You won't believe the questions that came after that. We have to stop the session. You have to give them that chance to go work with groups and come back to us. Come and tell us what is it that you're expecting from this. Have a conversation on any topic. What I start by saying, what are your expectations from your degree? The dean has gone. Start with that. First 1 month, no teaching. It's all shaping their mind. You all can discuss. Now, I'm saying this, but you all can get together and say, how do we crack this problem? You all will come up with the answers. But give them time to work in groups, come up with questions, come up with 10 things or 5 things that you think we should do differently, or your expectation. Get them engaged to start with. You'll be surprised. But you give them the time and the space to do that. So many. What's your name? Lalit, you won't believe, Lalit. I was shocked. Very silent, no. Then put them in each row by row. Ashnahana, oh God. See? And any language, single. So I think you can do it. Little more student-centered. Give them the time and the space to work together in groups. Come up, all work. Come up with questions. What it look like, what are the challenges you see with deep sea? Throw them normal questions that they can go and get engaged with. I'm sure at least you understand the problem, so I'm sure you will get together, work with your colleagues and come up with something. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Peter, for your thought provoking. Okay, so we have a tendency to respect. Right, I think you are. Yes, thank you very much. I think you are a gift of the gap. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Peter, so the first chancellor of my university is Dr. E.W. Adhikaram, one of the great educationists. So, according to his understanding, there are 2 purposes of a university. So, one is knowledge development. The other one is character development. Even J. Krishnamurti, I think you must have heard, right? He has endorsed that. He has mentioned that if you develop the mind of a person, so brain of the person, without developing the heart, you are not developing a gentleman, but you are developing a rascal. All right? So what you say is correct in terms of knowledge development. So my question is, how can we develop the heart by using the same methodology? Thank you very much.
So again, when you put the students at the center, then immediately they feel, look, we are empowered. After every class, you can have a discussion, how did we go today? How did the class go today? How did we fare? What are the things? So the moment you put them at the center, straight away you are recognizing their value as a human being. as a thinking human being, not a student, then do other than class. And talk to them, like what we are doing today. Right? Questions are, how are things? So first and foremost, if you treat them as human, thinking human beings who have dignity. Now once I went to a university. I was going up to get, university students rush, no? And the vice chancellor came. So one boy ran. He shouted at him. And he said, I said, and all that. And I said, this is a university. Why is he talking to him like that? But if he understood, I said, these are young boys and girls, man. At the prime of their life, they are young, they have just come, they are discovering so many things, no? They are discovering, relationships, sexuality, all kinds of things. There are other things going on in their life, no, in the university. ඒ ඔක්කොම අපි හංගනවා, යට ගහනවා. ඔවා ගේන්නේ ක්ලාස් එකේ කතා කරන්න. Talk about other things that matter to them. Not only your subject. How are you feeling today? කොහමද අද ළමයි පඩ ක්ලාස් එක පඩ කොහමද ගෙදර තත්ත්වය කොහමද අද? සර් ටිකක් අමාරුයි. මොකද? You see? Treat them as human beings first and foremost. Before you start teaching the subject, that little change, you'll be amazed what a change it will be. So that takes humility, ne? Humble. I'll come to that at the end. Just the first change that we can make, all of us, is to be a little more humble. අපි නෙමෙයි වැඩෝ අපි ටී අර hierarchy එක drop කරා නම්, and also if they start talking in first name terms, they become more friendly. It's okay. My daughters, they call them professors sometimes, but they are very friendly. They go to their home. When my daughter was not well, one of the professors took her. She's from Sri Lanka. Went to the professor's home, and my God, they call her by their first names, but they have such respect for them because they treat the students as young humans with problems. And my teacher is concerned about me as a person, not as a student. දැනුම පොණ එක නෙමෙයි කොහොමද අද හොඳින් ඉන්නවද? That sort of make the classroom and get them to talk. Then පොඩක් කතා කරන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ තත්ත්වය ගැන පොඩක් කතා කරන්න අද. Talk to each other. Have a conversation. Just have a conversation. 5 minutes talk. It'll completely revolutionize your classroom. Little things. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, did you raise your hand? You're next, yes. පිටිපස්සෙන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න.
Peter, I always enjoy your talk.
Thank you.
And today's your last comment was very nice. And you were talking about the dress code. Actually, at the uni, we love to dress like you. That's what we are doing at the university, because our current director wanted to make it very informal as possible for us to be getting closer.
This is at PIM?
PIM, yeah.
Wonderful.
Getting closer to the student as much as we can. So that's nothing wrong with that. I really agree, because that's me. So and when I teach, it's me that I'm teaching, very humble, very down to earth. The reflection of that is going to happen when they come and talk their personal matters. Right. And for me, the indicator is when they talk about personal matters, maybe relationships, subject difficulties, and career enhancement. So I'm very proud to say, I think most of us are in that category.
Excellent.
Right? So then that means we are doing something right.
Yes.
But then there's another hindsight. There's something like this. In Sri Lanka, there is a expectation, I call it a barrier, because it's something like this, Peter. Now, when we go to a place, we expect, we need to dress up as this is the way they expect us to wear. So that if I may bring a little bit of concept here, Mead says that is symbolic interactionism. And Mead says interactionism, there are I and me. I means I dress what I really love to do. Actually, if you allow me, I like to come here with a sarong, with a pair of slippers and a banyan. But if I come like that, I'm going to be stereotyped. But that's what I like to do, right? So therefore, I expect this audience expect me to wear this discomfort coat. You get my point? So I think not only me, quite a cross-section of us have to grapple with this expectation barrier. So I like to know your kind of interpretation, because I think it's very much aligned to our way of thinking.
Now today also, I would have, I thought workshop ne. So I thought I was going to come in a t-shirt and jeans and, a pair of sandals. But then luckily I asked Amali, she said formal. So, but I couldn't put on a jacket. So I put on a pair of shoes. I had to polish it also. Shirt එකත් iron කරනවා. Generally I don't iron my shirt because it body heat එකට හරියනවා. මම මේ iron කරලා හොඳද මේක? So so you see judgment. You see you have to teach children how to society එකේ කොහොමද යන්නේ කියලා. ඉතින් මම පිස්සා වගේ එන්න බෑනේ. When you all are formal, I have to at least. So that is all what you they learn that. තැනකට ගියාම කොහොමද හැසිරෙන්නේ? Those are all things you learn. You see? Yeah, you're right. You have to come dressed in a way that, there is something. But don't make that the symbol of authority and recognition. You wear whatever you want. But the moment you think this will give me some authority and power and position, then you're wrong. But take this nonsense of teachers have to wear saris to school. No? What madness is that? How does that in any way change the way they are imparting knowledge? They can be well dressed, no? මේකල්ල මේ අරක පේනවා අරක පේනවා සාරි ගන්නමනේ වැඩිම පේන්නේ. හිප් එක ඔක්කොම පේනවනේ. ඉතින් this kind of nonsense, So to your point, yes, you decide what is appropriate. So you teach children judgment also. But that does not mean that anybody who is non-conformist should be penalized. කවුරු හරි සරමක් ඇඳගෙන ලස්සන සරමක් ඇඳගෙන ආව නම් අයික අවුලක් නැහැනේ. නැත්තම් මණ්ඩරණයක්වත් එළවලා දාන්නේවා. I mean came in so but that's the point. So teach them that also. How do I judge this, They don't know, no? So but don't just because there could be non-conformist, don't then use that to make a judgment about them. Yeah. There's some interviews but sometimes you won't believe some of the young students when they want to come, they come in rubber slippers and all. They don't know any better. They think it's okay. Yes. Right. Yeah. That's right. So, yeah. And Gandhi, of course, took it another extreme and he went with the Jangi, like the Amude. And Winston Churchill called him the half-naked fakir. But Bala Tampo, who was my mentor, he told me that's not what he said. They changed it. He called them a half-naked F-U-C-K-E-R. They couldn't say that half-naked fucker. They said fakir. Winston Churchill was a racist. That's what he actually called him. Yes, we'll go back and come to you. Yes, Han. How are we doing for time, Travis? We are good? We've got another half an hour? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Peter, my question is...
Mistake, Alan.
Sorry?
Mistake, Alan.
Yeah,
Mr. Dialmeida kiyanno. Miss first name kiyala Mr. kiyanna bෑ. Mr. Peter kiyanna bෑ. Mr. Dialmeida නැත්නම් Peter.
All right, so my question is in universities, so there are students coming from different parts of the country. So there are maybe from rural and some from the urban areas. So when they are studying, here some people are using new technology and they are performing well. On the other hand, some students don't have any idea about even about Excel, Word, nothing like that because of their environment. So now in that point, those students are discouraging. ඒගොල්ලන් බය වෙනවා අර දේවල් දැක්කම ඒගොල්ලන් හොඳට presentations කරනවා slides හදන්න දන්නේ නැහැ මේගොල්ලන් ඒ වගේ දේවල් එක they are discouraging. So the repercussion is once they enter into the corporate sector අනිවාර්යෙන් first week එකේදී they will discriminate අර මොනසයා මේ email එකක්වත් දාගන්න දන්නේ නැහනේ likewise. So my question is could you assist us could you advise us how we can encourage all these students in average level to engage in technological manner, because the world is going with new technologies. We have to get every student into same level. එක්කෙනෙක් හොඳට අරගෙන අනිත් කට්ටිය පල්ලෙ ඉන්නේ නෙවෙයි.
ඒක ලොකු ගවුලක් තමයි. There's inequality. When they had these online classes, only 30% of the children had capacity to the facilities. So 70% got left behind. So that is why it's important that at least at the university level, that's what in a bankrupt country you can't do this. I'm sorry, what's your name?
අනුරාධ.
අනුරාධ ඒක කරන්න බෑනේ. බංකොලොත් රටක පුළුවන් ද මේ ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරන්න යුනිවර්සිටි ළමයින්ට කම්පියුටර්ස් දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඔය තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. So there is no easy answer unless you can get them to work with the students and create a group and then use the computer facilities in the campus so you can have a discussion at Sri Javadhanpura. How many computers do we have? How many, where is it available? Study එකක් කරන්න වහම study එකක් කරන්න. Dean කියන්න study එකක් කරන්න කියලා. What are all the computer facilities available? How are they used? Get the timetable. Take that on as a data project, data science project එකක් හැටියට ගන්න එක. වහම කරන්න ඒ වැඩේ. How can we, okay, Dean is not there. Kawra Liaganda, Dr. Nilangi, Liaganda. How can we provide access to students who don't have access to technology like DeepSeek at Sri Javadhanpura University? Take that on as a common challenge, priority number 1, and address it. ඔගොල්ලෝ පටන් ගන්න. නැත්නම් හැම එකටම කවුද? සද්ගුරු වගේ මම answers දන්නේ නැහැ. ඔක්කොම ලෝකේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ඔක්කොම වලට. That's a good problem. So immediately take it up with the board of government, whatever, and start with the faculty of management and science, social science and management. පටන් ගන්න ඔගොල්ලෝ. You can come up with a good answer. How can we first look at the resources in the university? Can we organize that free time? How can we use? Number 1. Second, how can we use the resources within the class itself? තියෙන අයට පුළුවන් ද මේකලොත් එක combine කරලා වැඩ කරන්න. Other one, can we really go look for some technology where we can get sponsorships or something like that to get them access to, at least a smartphone or something like that. So take that out as a problem that you need to solve. Hopefully next year when you have the next conference, you might want to share that as a problem that we solved at Sri Javadhanpura. That will be a great case study. Do that. Great. Thank you. Yes, මේ පැත්තේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. හරි අඩුයි. Ladies ලා පිටිපස්සේ අහලා එන්නම් ඉස්සරහට. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙනවා ප්‍රශ්නයක්? You all had a question. Come.
Peter, thank you for the very interesting speech. I have one very little question. Give us one example how to make our student curious for the creativity.
One thing, what does it take to be curious? If you're curious, what will you do? What is the first thing you will do if you're curious? Sorry? Ask questions. I'll get them to ask questions. Very simple. Just throw it to them, like what we are doing today. Ask questions. Work in groups to ask questions. Now, I want to say this later, but I'll say it now. Just remember this. Today, with DeepSeek and ChatGPT and all that, the best student is not the student who knows the answers. So change that mindset today itself when you go back to your classrooms. Danuma tiyena ka is not, he is not the king. The one who asks the smart questions, that's the future. Because you can go to DeepSeek and say, write me a 100-word essay on something. That you can do. But you can say, I am a student learning, I'm a teacher, teaching at the faculty. I'm so many years old. My students give a description of the students. Then you say, I'm going to teach them a lesson on, on inequality in economics, right? Give me, and you then put so many interesting factors, and finally you say, tell me how to teach that in a fun way, in 300 words. You see, the quality of the answer you get from DeepSeek will be very different to if you said, write me a 100-word essay on how to teach inequality. No context, you see? And then you ask more questions based on the answer. That's the essence of curiosity. Ask questions. අපේ ළමයින් කට ඇරියොත් කියන පඬිතයා වෙන්න එපා කට වහගන්න. මං කොළ කන්නේ මොකටද? මං කියන ඉඳ කට වහගෙන කාපන්. නැත්නම් ඔය කොළවල තියෙන නියුට්‍රිෂන් ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් හරි කියලා දුන්නා නම් ඌ උනන්දු වෙනවනේ. ඉතින් you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how backward they are in the universities also. I see these students. No? But the moment you throw them up, but to answer your question, questions. And let them work on problems, That's right. Change that. Yeah. Saying that today we are going to have, just start the class by questions. We are going to start this topic. Give them pre-work. Say that උත්තර හොයාගෙන එන්න එපා. මේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකට හොඳ ප්‍රශ්න 3ක් හොයාගෙන එන්න. And together we'll find answers. You know, always ask them to bring questions to the table. Now talking of which thing, mage grandson, he's 4 years old. When he was 4 years old, he's asking a question from his mother. Amma, what's the difference between a thought and an idea? How can he ask a question like that? A thought and an idea. He can ask, Amma, why did Jack go up the hill to fetch a pail of water? Something he has read. This is not what he has read. That is because all of you have children. You all are not giving enough free time for children to just do nothing. Again, art class, dancing class, maths class, English class, swimming class, hockey class, basketball class. But this boy, a lot of free time, like me. I had no internet, nothing, no entertainment at home. I had to just parikalpane, imagine. So, if you give them the time and the space, they will fill that with something. It will be difficult at the start, but once the class gets energized by questions, your job, that's a great question, is to inspire them to ask questions. Not give all the answers, not like what we said to him. You go find out. Great, thank you.
Right, Peter. These things are really interesting, and I'm 100% with you. However, how practical these things in a country where university are selected students based on their marks, and where institutions like central bank and the universities recruit people who have first or second uppers, and also where students believe that they are titans. Believe that they are titans, they are boss, they are the most cream of the country. Sometimes we also say them that you are the cream of the cream.
Yeah, that is the problem. Because you see, how much is the private sector going to hire? And now with this damn ChatGPT and all this DeepSeek. Yeah, it's a great question, but that is the problem. Because we have a disconnected society. We have a society that gives so much emphasis on educational qualification alone. So ideally, universities like what we do, we have a combination of, we have very bright students, first class students, and we have people like that call center. So we have a combination of people. But we look for smart people, even if they got a degree. As I told you, 3 batch top we couldn't hire. But you're right. And these are the institutions that hire people in large numbers, state sector. But at least, even with that, we have to try and give them that extra tool of curiosity and all that. But it's a balance. You have to produce the results also, because they'll say, so it's a reality. I understand that. But I think if you give them that early belief in themselves, a lot of them will do well, is what I think. Otherwise, they can drop out also. A lot of them are now in university, they're trying to be entrepreneurs, they're starting businesses and all that. I was shocked. I went to a university recently. I don't know whether it's your university. I think Morogoro. Yeah, where one of the students, there's 2 other students have started a class. Can you believe they were the sponsors, title sponsors of the event? 2 university students and their company. I couldn't believe it. So you see, you have to produce a number of people. You produce different types of people. So, you can also still make that first class guy who gets the marks, you can also make him an interesting student. He doesn't have to be a potegura. But yes, there has to be that balance. But unfortunately, the recruitment system is such that, I wish I had an answer, but it's a challenge that I think we need to work on into the future. Yes, your question, yes.
So, thank you, Peter, for throwing some wonderful sparks into the context. In fact, actually, this is not a designated area. We were in the back. We were compelled to come so that we were sitting. And then had a nice conversation with this Guru Gola, this Dr. Travis has taught us also. So we were talking about your thinking and the ideas in line with this enabling So you are enabler, enabling, and so we'd like to see a few tips or secrets, rather insights of what is your driving philosophy behind this enabling thinking?
What is the philosophy? Give me a...
No, like what are key insights that you are thinking, which drives you to get this enabling in any given context, either university or in your business, corporate, because your company is about enable.
Yes.
That we were just talking about this enable.
Enable,
so
yes.
Able into enable. In that sense, what drives you?
What drives me? Okay. That's something I can answer. So all my life, from the time I was young, see, without my knowing, I had to be part of this family, and I had to make sure that we all contributed. So we have always had a sense of family community, that the greater good of everybody. Then later on, when I was 15 years old, I met Bala Tampo, the famous trade unionist, Marxist, humanist. And he is the one who changed my direction in life. He put the value of the greater good of people, not just me. I built a house only 3 years ago. So for me, my goal was not to build the biggest house, buy the biggest car. I drove a small car for a long time, a small Starlet. Those were not things that were important to me. So two things were important. One is learn skills, not look at results, just acquire skills. And secondly, always be conscious of your community. Earlier it was our Kotehena community, Mattakkuliya community. I used to teach boys in that So I grew up with that sense of community. Because we grew up in the family with a sense of community. I had to bring my salary and give it to my mother. I can't use that salary to buy the next biggest iPhone, which is what you all teach your children today. They don't bring the salary and give it to you. ඕගොල්ලෝ කණ්ඩ දෙනවා. මුන් ගිහලා හොඳම ෆෝන් එක ගන්නවා. ඉතින් කොහමද ළමයි හදන්නේ? No values, no. Because I said, dude, contribute something to the house. You earn bloody 10,000, no? Put $1,000. Have a box. What? You just come and you're a visitor in the house, is it? So we had to polish the floor, clean the garden. So we grew up like that. But also, so we have a sense of, so that's what drives me, to, till my, and I'll come to that at the very end. So this sense of wanting to give something. Not always value something with a price attached to it, like what Mark Carney says. So that gives me much greater joy than if I only did it for money. So, and there's one other quality that I want to talk about. I'll talk about it at the very end. Yes, how are we doing for time? How many minutes to 6? 5:40? Okay, we have another 20 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Yes, questions? Yes, sir.
So my experience is actually in universities, the most difficult thing is how to get the students to talk. Even you ask a name, they don't say. That is a problem. But what I have found was like rather than restricting using technology, because in my experiences, all of them have smartphones and all of them have WhatsApp. So when I ask them to, like I am teaching OR, and when I ask them operations research and mathematics thing, so then ask them to do the sum and take a photo and send it to me, then they do it. Like they will WhatsApp it. And also I found that actually, as you said, that there are so many good lecturers on YouTube than me. So then I am using their video in the class also. Then encourage them to watch them, because they have used various, techniques and graphics and all that. I can't do it in the classroom. So that is better. And also, we have now, so I am the director of the Staff Development Center. Also now we are encouraging student-centered learning, and also flipped classrooms and things like that. Before they come to the classroom, they have to self-study so many things. Like since now we have YouTube videos, then e-books and all that. Earlier, like say for example, we had only one book for the whole library. But now we have e-copies, then they can access, infinite number of students can access. So that kind of things are coming up. But main thing I have seen, especially in the
public university sector is get them to talk. I don't know the reason, but even you ask, say, what is your name? That also they don't talk. They just sit and wait. So that is the main thing. I don't know the reason. Probably it may have come from school. Yeah. But in the private universities, probably it may not be the case. Probably. I have some experience in private universities as well. Not bad as the public universities.
So I think you're right, because it's the way the children are brought up today, neither, and they are never told to be critical. Now again, I asked this question from the Sri Javadanapura, those 1,000 students at the arts faculty. I asked them, "Daham pasal yana kauda?" Okkamla teiswa. Then I asked them, "Me Kalama Sutra kauda danne?" Na kauda metana Kalama Sutra danna? Kalama Sutra. කවුරුත් දන්නේ නැහැ. දහම් පාසල් ගියා අත උසන්න. එක්කෙනෙක් දන්නවා. ඔයා දන්නවා. දහම් පාසල් ගියා අත උසන්න. දහම් පාසල්. උඩට උසන්නකෝ බොරු කරන්න එපා. මුළු සෙට් එකම ගිහිල්ලා. You see, that's the problem. You know, critical thinking, Travis, we don't need to go to, foreign philosophers. Critical thinking කාලාම සූත්‍රයක තියෙනවනේ. ඒක උගන්වන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක ඕන කරලා උගන්වන්නේ නැත්තේ. ඒකේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? ගුරුවරු කියන නිසාවත්, වැඩිහිටියන් කියන නිසාවත්, ආගමික ග්‍රන්ථවල තිබුණ නිසාවත්, මම කියන නිසාවත්, කියන්නේ මම කියන්නේ පීඨ නෙමෙයි බුදුහාමුදුරුවෝ. මම කියන නිසාවත් සත්‍ය කියලා පිළිගන්න එපා. වාට ඒක සත්‍යයක් නෙමෙයි. How come that we go for Dhampasa for 10 years, 15 years and we don't know the Kalama Sutra? Because we don't want our children to question us and to be a little talk and ask questions. We don't, that's our culture. So that's what you are saying. But try to light a spark under them. That is what you have to do. Because they come to university now. There are 4 more years before they sort their life out. So how can you find ways to make every class an exciting class? But I'm telling you, you try that exercise, get them in rows like this to talk. I'm telling you, it has never failed for me, never failed. I went to a Dhampasala in a school near off Palmadulla. I forget the name of the town. So the Hamdro told me to come and talk to the students. Same thing. I spoke to them in a nice way, and then I asked them to ask a question. No questions. Then I said, every row, from small children to A-level students, every row, I said, this row go out. This row go out, talk. You won't believe. My God. Couldn't stop asking questions. Then the Hamdro followed the class. And he said, today's class was very different. Because all the time I hear the teacher shouting, he said, Ada mama dakka, amutu deyak. Prashnahana. It takes so little. Go out, discuss, come with a question. Mara prashna ungahanne. You will be surprised at the kind of questions they will ask you. Just give them that space and the time. But make sure that in your lesson preparation, you are also giving time for that kind of excitement in the classroom. How can I make the class exciting today? So those are some of the things we can do. It has never failed for me. Never. They'll always ask when they work in groups. Yes, last question before we wind down. Instructors la. I was telling them, this word instructor also has to be changed very quickly. What is that to instruct? Mama instructor. Mama then bloody instructions then. So talk about it. And maybe at Sri Javadanapura you can change it and say, these people are not going to call them instructors. You have to change their role. Think of some name, I don't know. But instructor, mama thamai instructor. It diminishes their role also. Diminish when I role. Mata tiyene instructor le anekai. Yes. Travis, you have to leave? Hari, done? Any questions? Last question? Okay, so I will end now. I'll go to the podium and I'll... So thank you for all those wonderful questions. Before I finish, I want to talk about 2 things. Somebody asked me, you asked me a question about, I'm sorry, I forget your name. You asked me a question about what drives me and all that. But one thing I want to share with you, if we can do one thing as leaders, titans, whatever, if we can be humble, you know, I think that is the greatest thing that I have learned. I have learned to be humble. You don't know it all. You don't know it all. And then if you're humble, you learn from others. I'll give you an example of humility, and that's what I want lecturers, deans, everyone to think about it. When I was the CEO of my company, two examples I'll give you. One is I went for the INSEAD program, 1-month program. So I wrote, before I left, I knew that my staff will think, now Peter is going for 1 month. Now they don't know where I've gone, no? So I sent an email to everybody, to my entire office, including everybody, lowest employee who is all in the email. I said, I'm going for a 1-month program to INSEAD. And these are the things I'm going to learn. So I'm hoping this will help us to become a better company. So everybody knows that Peter has gone some important work. 15 days into the program, I sent another email saying that these are the things I've learned and I find these things exciting, to your point, you know, about how to ask questions. So I'm now inspiring them. These are the things I've learned. I found this lesson interesting. Fairly long mail. I sent that out to them. When I came back, I did something even more different. I said, here are what I've learned. And there are 2 things that I have decided to do to make myself a better leader than I am today. And the 2 things that I picked, that's the work we were doing at the program, based on the feedback people had given me. There were a number of things they had told me that I can do better. I picked 2. One is to be on time. Because earlier I used to be a little late and meetings go on. Not as bad as Madam Chandrika. She was terrible, no? So not as that bad. But meetings, 12 o'clock it finishes, we finish at 12:45. I said, I'll be timely, I'll come on time, finish on time. Second thing I decided was, I will go last in a discussion. That's why when you all wanted to ask questions, I said, no, you all go last. But the dean had to go. Let others, so that there are more options on the table. The mama issalama kata karana, everybody will come around. I say, Peter, great idea. They'll all come around that idea. But if I go last, then there are more ideas on the table, and mine will be another one more. And I told them, and I publicly wrote to them, and I said, these are the 2 things I'm working on. If you see me violating or not doing those things, call me out. Call me out. So I'm putting myself under the discipline of the team. So if I'm late, they'll say, Peter, now you said you're starting. I say, yes, man, now 12 o'clock, we have to finish now. You can't. Second thing, even more impactful or something that will underline what I'm trying to say. You know, one day in the company, there was a guy, very young guy. He came, we had a discussion with one of my friends. My friend was a director technology at BOI. I brought him to our company to give some important advice on some technical matter. This boy is a young boy, very bright student from Peradeniya. He had won the Microsoft prize and all that. He was there. So at the end of the discussion, my friend told him he needed some information. So a day or 2 later, I said so and so. I gave his name and said, Peter mata amata gona. I said, okay, no problem, send it quickly. Second time also I asked him, Peter mata eka haragana, no problem. Okay, send it now. Don't forget, this boy is giving us of his time for free, send it. Next day I saw him walking down the corridor. Open office. I said, did you send it? He said, no. I lost it completely. I went at him. I said, don't think just because you have come from Peradeniya, you have won the Microsoft prize, you are a big shot. Do this. As I went to my room, I realized that I was out of order. I said, Peter, you could have handled this better. So you're self-critical, huh? Then I thought, okay, now I can apologize to him. But I said this in front of so many people. So I decided the next time we had a town hall. We have a town hall meeting. Every quarter we share all our results, you know. So you all must do that. You all must get the faculty together and talk about what worked well, what didn't work well. Town hall. We all have all the numbers are put on the board, you know, profits, all that. At that meeting, I said, you know, just a month ago, I had this thing. I think I did not act very well. I could have done better. So because lots of people heard me shout at this boy, I want to apologize to you, called him by his name and said, I want to say sorry to you. I think I was not right. That was not the behavior that expected of me as the CEO. But the thing is, මේ කාලකන්ණියක ඌ මට sorry කිව්වේ නැහැ. මූ පොර වගේ ඉන්නවා ලොකුවට. ඊපස්සේ ඌට මීටින් ඉවරලා මං කිව්වා යකෝ උඹට මං sorry කිව්වා. උඹ මට sorry කිව්වද උඹ? You see? So, humility. I think in this world when there is knowledge is not something that everybody has access to, I think as teachers, lecturers, deans, heads of departments, we can be humble and get everyone in and say, you know, let's work together. That's how you can inspire children. Final word is this: what is all this for? At the end of the day, if you have 30 seconds left in life, what will you think of? You're not going to think of, you know, the port city and all that. Anyway, that's another topic that I didn't want to talk about. You all saw some fantastic pictures. But you know, there are two different worlds, man. There's a world here and there's a world of our people. The people of this country have little or nothing to do with the stuff that you saw today. It's alien to them. That's another world. That is nothing to do with our farmers, our children. That's why when you talk about Nilangi in your talk about this, the UN sustainable goals, forget about these things. These are meaningless, absolutely meaningless. If Travis were there, I would have told you, you can't have 17 goals, you know. What are the goals? Let's take them. Eradicate poverty. Poverty very well. Zero hunger. Good health and well-being. Quality education, clean water. Look at what happened in Gaza. They decimated that place, man. And the UN is there. So I'm saying, Dr. Nilangi, forget about UN sustainable goals. Let's go back to our core values, you know. What are we as a people? We care for our people. Teach them simple values. Don't make them titans. Don't make them leaders. Let them, and let's also think, if we can think before we close our eyes, 30 seconds left, if we can think, you know what, I lived at a time when this country had so many problems. I at least was able to give my mind to address one of them. Only then can you say, my life was well lived and my life was worth it. So I hope you will find meaning and purpose in your life. You all have an important role to play. Young people are coming under your care. You're going to spend hours with them over the next 4 years. See how you can change their lives. I'm very happy when young people come and tell me, Peter, you spoke at Morotua, Peradene, whatever, and when they say, that changed my life, that's the greatest joy I get to answer your question. So that's my purpose. If I can change somebody's life, it'll be great. So I hope you all can do that, inspire your students, learn yourself. It's not easy. You all have got used to a certain style. Challenge yourself, stay humble, and be an inspiration. And may your classroom and your life be one that inspires children, and treat them as human beings, care for them, and love them. Thank you very much.
Peter, I would like to request you to remain on stage for a while. So, interesting thoughts, interesting insights, and last but not least, interesting stories. So I'm sure, Peter, your thought-provoking session today sparked curiosity in me as well as the audience here today. So to give a very small token of appreciation as well as a letter of appreciation, I would like to invite on behalf of the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, Professor Y.K. Veerakorn, and on behalf of Postgraduate Institute of Management, Dr. Travis Pereira, as well as I would like to invite the co-chairs of International Conference on Business Management, Dr. Nilangi Nanayakara and Dr. Gaini Samarakon, to the stage. While thanking Peter again for his interesting session, I would like to now cordially invite Mr. Asel Hettiarachchi, Committee Member of International Conference on Business Management, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, dear sirs, madams, and everyone else. So as we conclude this session, like Bhakia said, it certainly was a thought-provoking session. And it gives me great honor to thank everyone who was behind this session as a part of the ICBM organizing committee. So first and foremost, our gratitude goes out to Peter for his insightful contribution today to this discussion. As academics, I think this theme, what he talked about, resonates with us deeply, and it will help us to teach, to guide our teaching styles when we go back to our careers starting next week. And also we extend our sincere appreciation to the academics from the Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce, as well as the Postgraduate Institute of Management for your presence and engagement. Your active participation and contributions have strengthened our collective understanding of the challenges and opportunities ahead in business education and leadership. A special thanks also goes to Mr. Shalaka Vijayaratna and the team at Port City Colombo for graciously hosting this session. This collaboration has provided a valuable platform for fostering meaningful conversations between academia and the industry. We also extend our sincere thanks to the technical team who has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure a seamless session. And covering this event, we also have Japura Media and Japura Flames. We thank you for your contribution to this event. Lastly, a big thank you to my fellow organizing team members for your hard work and dedication. And with that note, I would like to conclude today's session. And Bhagia, over to you.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, we are marking the end of the pre-conference workshops of the International Conference on Business Management. As I earlier also told you, we had 3 pre-conference workshops today, 2 online workshops and in-person workshop. And I'm sure we all gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of thought-provoking insights that will allow us to think outside the box with curiosity. And with that, let us pay our respect to our nation. Please rise for the national anthem. Thank you.